My girlfriend of 10 years finally accepted my proposal. Overjoyed, I had a couple of extra drinks at our engagement party. Suddenly, Sarah, who had always been so gentle and refined, seemed like a completely different person. She berated me for my improper behavior and kicked my drunk self out of the car. Fighting a pounding headache, I walked alone through the streets of Manhattan for 3 hours in the dead of night. When I got home, I saw her in our future bedroom, holding her first love in her arms. "I regret it," she whispered to him. "If you'll just come back, I'll call off the wedding for you." Seeing how gentle and patient she was with him, I suddenly felt a wave of regret myself. So, to save her the trouble of calling it off, I ran away on our wedding day. No one ever expected that after I left, that woman, who was always so proud and distant, would start searching for me all over the world like a madwoman. Through the window of our new apartment, I could see two familiar silhouettes. It was clear they were locked in a tight embrace. I kicked off my dress shoes. They were an engagement gift from Sarah. I loved them, but they were a size too small, and the long walk home had rubbed my feet raw and bloody. At this point, I'd rather walk barefoot than ever wear them again. I dialed the familiar international number. "Dad, I'm not getting married. I want to come to you." My father was silent for a moment. "All right, I'm getting older, son. This business was always going to be yours anyway. The sooner you come, the sooner you can get settled." I choked back a sob and managed a reply. I heard him sigh on the other end. "I really thought that girl was different. I never thought you'd end up on the same path as your mother and me." "Don't cry. Daniel, you're still young. A man's world isn't just about marriage and kids. You can have your own career. Just be sure this is what you want. I'll be waiting for you." Before tonight, I also believed Sarah was different. She was a powerhouse in her career, yet she carried herself with grace, always gentle and polite. With every man but me, she always maintained a respectful distance. Even after she became incredibly successful, there was never a hint of scandal. That is, until tonight at our engagement party, when she saw the uninvited guest, Leo. For the first time ever, she lost her composure, shattering her wine glass. For the first time, she flew into a rage at me over something trivial and left me stranded on the side of the road. If it had been anyone else Sarah had seen, I might have thought it was all a misunderstanding. I would have been willing to give her another chance. I would have been willing to spend another 10, even 20 years by her side, asking for nothing in return. But the man in that room was Leo. The same Leo who had bullied me for more than 20 years. The same Leo who had stolen everything from me. He was the one person I could never forgive. The moment I saw Sarah willingly bring Leo into our home, I gave up on her completely in my heart. But for some reason, my hand moved on its own, pulling up the feed from our home security camera. On the monitor, Leo was lounging in our bedroom, wearing my pajamas. Sarah, the woman who never did housework and criticized my drinking as a lack of self-respect, was in the kitchen making him something for his hangover. Leo looked up at her. "A stand-in," he sneered, "and you're really going to marry him?" Sarah didn't answer, instead bending down to massage Leo's feet. "You don't have to say it. I already know," he continued. "You did all this just to get back at me. This whole engagement party was just a ploy to make me show up. You can't get over me. This whole apartment is decorated in my style. The wedding ring you picked out is the design I like. The cake had our initials on it. Even those shoes on his feet are a pair I rejected." As he spoke, Leo pressed his foot against Sarah's chest. "The one you've always loved is me." Sarah still said nothing. After a moment of silence, she suddenly threw herself into Leo's arms, pouring all of her pent-up feelings into a passionate kiss. Watching this, tears streamed down my face. I thought back on our 10 years together. Every time I felt a surge of affection and tried to kiss her, she would coldly turn her head away. I always thought she was just reserved and shy. I never imagined she was saving her most passionate love for Leo. For 10 years, she shared my bed, our bodies intertwined in what I thought was love. But in her heart, she was remaining faithful to her first love. I took a deep breath, ready to call an Uber and leave. But somehow Sarah had come downstairs, and she called out my name. When I turned around, she instinctively let go of Leo's hand. "Leo had too much to drink tonight," she explained. "He's your stepbrother, and I was worried about him walking home alone, so I brought him here. He's such a considerate guy. He was afraid you'd get the wrong idea and insisted on leaving." Sarah, who was normally so quiet and reserved, suddenly had endless things to say when it came to Leo. And every single word was in his defense. I looked at the woman in front of me and felt like I was seeing a stranger. I was supposed to be her childhood sweetheart. I was the fiancé who stood by her for 10 years while she built her company from nothing. How, after all this time, did I end up as nothing more than a stand-in? I swallowed the pain in my chest and took a deep breath. He's not my brother. He's the son of the man my mother had an affair with. Hearing this, Sarah's face flushed with anger. Daniel, how could you say something so vicious about him? Apologize to Leo right now. No wonder your own parents abandoned you when you were a kid. No wonder nobody likes you. This bitter, spiteful side of you is disgusting. You deserve to be unloved. As if she was afraid I might hurt Leo, Sarah shoved me aside and stood protectively in front of him. The soft moonlight fell on her face. Her tense expression merged with a tiny figure from my memory. Many years ago, when we were just kids, Sarah used to stand in front of me just like that, protecting me. That was back when my mother had an affair, got pregnant with another man's child, and forced my father into a divorce so she could be with him. My father left the country in a fit of anger, and I became the unwanted burden in my own home. Whenever Sarah heard the fighting from next door, she would rush over and stand in front of me. She used to say, Daniel, you're the best person in the whole world. Even if everyone else leaves you, I will love you forever and ever. Growing up, I held on to those words. I worked hard, determined to escape my toxic family and build a happy home I'd always dreamed of with her. But whenever I brought it up, she would just frown. She'd dismiss it with a cool. We were just kids. But now that Leo was back, she didn't even bother with gentle dismissals anymore. She just twisted the knife in my deepest wound with a single phrase, you deserve to be unloved. I turned my head, unable to look at her any longer, as my eyes began to burn. Sarah's eyes flickered for a second. I couldn't tell if she realized how cruel her words were, or if she'd finally noticed my bleeding feet. She sighed. I'll just assume you're drunk and talking nonsense tonight. From now on. There won't be a from now on, I said flatly. What? Sarah looked confused, about to ask more, but then she saw Leo running off, tears streaming down his face. Forgetting her question entirely, she immediately ran after him. She left in such a rush that she didn't even notice the star-shaped necklace that fell from her pocket. I picked it up, my mind flashing to the small star tattoo just above her heart. All the details I had overlooked for years suddenly clicked into place. The childhood sweetheart never stood a chance against the one who swept in out of nowhere. Our supposed 10 years of love had been nothing but my own wishful thinking. That being the case, there was no reason for me to keep fighting for a woman who wasn't worth it. As I turned to head home, I got a text from my dad. He'd booked me a flight out of the country. The flight was for 2 weeks from now, on what was supposed to be our wedding day. The wedding countdown clock in the living room had just become a countdown to my departure. I let out a bitter laugh and started throwing out all the wedding decorations and things we'd bought as a couple. It felt like fate. I would use these last 2 weeks to say goodbye to my entire past. The next morning, the sound of my phone ringing woke me. It was Sarah. Daniel, are you up? I ordered you those bagels you love from that place downtown. I'm not coming home today. Something urgent came up at work. We'll have to reschedule the wedding photos. And don't worry about last night, she added. I already apologized to Leo for you. Okay, I said. Sarah seemed surprised by how easily I agreed. She added, a little awkwardly, a wedding is just a formality anyway. Our relationship is strong enough that we don't need a big show to prove it. Let's just keep things simple. Okay, keep things simple. This wedding would have no marriage license, no wedding photos, no officiant, and no groom. After hanging up, I took a Sharpie and blacked out wedding photos on my calendar. Sarah was always busy with work and rarely had time for me. So I had written down all the things I most wanted to do with her on that calendar. I was hoping we could finally do them all in the time leading up to the wedding. But now, one by one, those wishes were being covered in thick, black ink, turning into unspoken regrets. I stopped wasting my thoughts on Sarah. I submitted my resignation at work, then met up with a few close colleagues to say my goodbyes. Over the next few days, I contacted all of my friends and told them the wedding was off. We kind of figured. One of my friends said, pulling up Sarah's Facebook page for me to see. Sarah has been hanging out with Leo constantly. Anyone who doesn't know you well would think it's you in her pictures, but we could tell right away it wasn't. Sarah, who had never once posted a photo of me, now had a Facebook feed full of pictures of Leo. They went to Coney Island. They went to a bridal shop to try on tuxedos. They went to the Hamptons to drink on the beach and watch the sunrise. Her love for Leo was on full display for everyone to see. Everyone, that is, except for me. She had blocked me. My friend looked at me, concerned. Daniel, don't let it get to you. The guy isn't fit to be in the same room as you. If Sarah knew what Leo was really like, she'd regret this for the rest of her life. It's fine. I said, I'm already over it. I gazed out at the bustling city traffic. In just a few more days, I would be leaving this place for good. I didn't have any more time or energy to waste being sad over Sarah. So when she finally showed up after being gone for days, I felt nothing. She was texting nonstop the moment she walked in, glancing around the room distractedly. Why is it so empty in here? Haven't you decorated at all? You said to keep things simple. Sarah was taken aback, her eyes landing on the countdown clock, which read 7. Time flies, she murmured. Just one more week until our wedding. I tore 2 pages off my calendar. Our wedding is in 5 days. The pages I tore out held the wishes, ride the Ferris wheel together, and watch the sunrise and sunset together. But Sarah never paid attention to anything that had to do with me. Just then, my dad called, and I stepped out onto the balcony to talk. When I came back inside, Sarah was still glued to her phone. What was that about? I thought I heard something about a visa. It's nothing, I said. Just work. All right. Well, whatever you do, don't plan a honeymoon. I'm way too busy to go anywhere. I know. Ever since Leo came back, she couldn't stand to be apart from him for a second. The silence felt awkward, so I handed Sarah the star necklace. Her calm eyes instantly lit up. So you had it. I've been looking everywhere for this. I know. I saw the reward you posted for it online. $100,000 for an old, cheap-looking necklace. Meanwhile, our entire wedding budget was less than $20,000. I looked at Sarah and asked suddenly, "Where's your engagement ring?" She froze for a second, then looked down at her bare finger as if just noticing. I don't know. I must have lost it somewhere. Sarah started to explain further, but her phone buzzed with another message. It was the custom notification sound she had set for Leo. She glanced at the screen, then stood up and gave me a quick kiss on the forehead. I'm sorry, honey. I've just been so swamped lately. I'll have to leave the rest of the wedding planning to you. But once this is all over, I promise I'll make you the happiest man in the world. The quiet, reserved Sarah was suddenly saying all the right things. In the past, her words would have made me ecstatic. I would have felt like I'd finally melted the iceberg. But now I just washed my face, feeling disgusted, and went back to my own packing. Time ticked by. Soon, it was the day before the wedding. The wish for that day on the calendar was have a family dinner together. For more than 20 years, that had been my greatest wish. But I knew it was one that could never come true. My father would never forgive my mother, and I would never forgive Sarah. I went to Coney Island by myself, rode the Ferris wheel, and watched the sunset over the water. The evening glow covered the city I had lived in my whole life, and it felt like all my memories were scattering in the wind. Just then, Leo posted a new photo on Instagram. A big family, all sitting around a dinner table. My mother was beaming as she watched Sarah serve him some food. The caption read, "Both our families meeting to finalize the wedding details." I wasn't angry. I just found it hilarious. Whose wedding? Mine or Leo's? I blocked Leo's account. I started typing a message to Sarah, but after editing it for half an hour, I deleted it without sending. Just as I was about to head home, Sarah called. "Where are you? Why aren't you at the apartment? Send me your location. I miss you." Sarah arrived quickly. When I got in the car, I noticed a basketball-shaped pillow in the passenger seat. I moved it aside and saw an open box of condoms underneath. I hesitated for a moment before getting into the back seat. Sarah's eyes were still glued to her phone. She didn't notice a thing. "What made you come out to Coney Island?" she asked casually. "Is everything for the wedding finished?" "Pretty much," I replied. "I remember you always wanted to ride the Ferris wheel. When I have some free time, I'll take you and we can have a great time. I wasn't going to bother you today, but my mom wanted to see you." In Sarah's eyes, the wedding was my responsibility alone. She only ever missed me when she needed something from me. I didn't answer. My eyes were stinging and the wind blowing and wasn't helping. When we got to her parents' house, all that was left was a table of cold leftovers. My mother was making small talk with Mr. Vance. Mrs. Vance greeted me warmly, taking my hand. "Daniel, I'm so fond of you," she said. "You may not make a lot of money, but you're a simple, family-oriented man, not like those other guys with their scheming ways." As she spoke, she shot a quick glance at Leo. Of course, with Sarah's success, she could have found someone better, but I told her to cherish you. After all, not every man is willing to let his wife be the main provider. But you're not getting any younger either. After the wedding, you should probably quit your job, have a baby soon, and focus on taking care of Sarah and the home. I mumbled a few non-committal replies. When I looked up, Sarah was already standing next to Leo. She brought over the groom's tuxedo and the best man's. "I knew you'd be busy, so I had Leo pick them out," she said. "His taste has always been better than yours." The tux she handed me was a yellowed, second-hand rental with a large tear in the seam. Meanwhile, Leo, dressed in a white, custom-tailored suit, looked more like the groom than I did. Sarah started to look flustered. "The rental place must have made a mistake," she said quickly. "It's not Leo's fault. It's too late to get another one now. I'll figure something out tomorrow." "It doesn't matter," I said. I calmly started to take off the jacket, but Leo insisted we take a group photo. In a shuffling, I was pushed to the very edge of the frame, while he positioned himself right next to Sarah. The moment the camera clicked, he accidentally bumped into me. The resulting photo showed only a blurry shape where I was standing, my face completely obscured. Sarah said we should take another one. I just smiled. "Maybe some other time. It's getting late." The wish to take a family photo together had already been crossed off my list. Leo, his eyes red, apologized profusely. "Bro, please don't be mad and take it out on Sarah. I swear I'll search the entire city tonight, if I have to, just to find you the perfect tux." With that, he ran out, sobbing. Sarah shot me a glare before running after him. I just felt tired. I picked up the torn tuxedo and left by myself. It didn't matter. By tomorrow, it would all be over. Back at the apartment, I did a final check of my luggage. I worked until dawn, and in the process, I stumbled upon Sarah's old diaries. Inside, she wrote about meeting Leo years ago at a hostel in Europe during the lowest point in her life. The most important pages, however, had been torn out. All that remained was a single sentence. "That was the happiest time of my life." There were more journals, volume after volume. Every single one was filled with her longing for Leo. On the day she accepted my proposal, she had written this: "I was young and foolish. I mistook a pebble for a diamond and missed out on the one true love of my life. No matter how hard I try now, I can't turn Daniel into him. What's past is past. For Leo's sake, I will be good to Daniel." Her handwriting was so elegant, so beautiful. Every stroke felt like it was being carved directly onto my heart. My tears fell, blurring the ink on the page. I looked up at all the gifts Sarah had given me over the years. Expensive watches, a sports car, designer clothes, down to the smallest things like stuffed animals, bubble tea, a gaming console. Without exception, they were all things that Leo liked. I looked at my reflection in the mirror, the choppy haircut, the gray hoodie, and I saw a carbon copy of Leo. I thought Sarah and I were childhood sweethearts, that our 10 years together meant something. I thought there had to be some genuine affection between us. But I was wrong. She had seen with her own eyes all the pain Leo had caused me over the years, and yet she still chose him. She knew perfectly well that he was the person I hated most in this world, and yet she still chose to mold me into his replacement. A storm of anger and grief washed over me. I smashed the mirror in front of me. I took a pair of clippers and shaved off the hair I had so carefully styled to her liking every single day. After it was done, I tore the last page off the calendar. On it was my final wish: have the most beautiful wedding and marry the love of my life, Sarah. Now, the wedding was a complete disaster. The woman I had once loved most was unrecognizable. I crumpled the paper in my fist and threw it away. Taking nothing with me, I got in a cab and went straight to JFK. At noon, just as I was settling into my seat on the plane, a call came through from Sarah. Her voice was trembling, on the verge of tears. "Daniel, where are you?" The flight attendant announced we were preparing for takeoff. I didn't answer. I just turned off my phone, leaned back against the seat, and let sleep take over. Maybe it was the exhaustion from everything that had happened. After weeks of insomnia, I actually slept soundly on the plane. But even in my dreams, I couldn't escape Sarah's face. At 7 years old, playing house in her backyard, she said she was the bride and I was the handsome groom. At 18, we made it official. She promised she would make a lot of money, give me the grandest wedding, and build the happiest family imaginable. When did it all start to go wrong? Was it when Leo came back, or had it started long before that? I couldn't remember. Sarah had been a part of nearly my entire life. No matter how calm I tried to be, letting her go felt like being skinned alive. When the plane landed in London, I couldn't bring myself to turn my phone back on. "Daniel," I heard my father's voice call out and saw him waving from the crowd. I hadn't seen him in almost 20 years. He was no longer the man I remembered, the one who used to sit on the sofa in tears, waiting for my mother to come home. He had aged, but he seemed more vibrant and distinguished than ever. "You're so grown up," he said, stroking my face and repeating how sorry he was. I fell into his arms. "Dad, I don't blame you. You're the one who taught me that a man has to have self-respect," I said. "That it's better to love yourself than to wait around for someone else to love you." My father 20 years ago, and me today, we had both made the same choice. "Daniel, Sarah has been calling my phone, my dad said, wiping a tear from my cheek, though his own eyes were wet. I'll say it again. No matter what you decide to do, I will support you. My phone screen was a wall of missed calls and frantic texts from Sarah. Before I could even read them all, another call came through. Daniel. Sarah's voice trembled, thick with relief. I had never heard her sound so anxious. I couldn't understand it. She had Leo back, so why did she still care so much about a stand-in like me? Daniel, you read my diary, didn't you? It's not what you think. There's nothing going on between me and Leo. I just think of him as a little brother. You must be heartbroken. I saw the tear stains on the pages. I admit I've been neglecting you, but I never, ever wanted to hurt you. I felt a sense of detachment. Sarah, I know you only agreed to marry me because of family pressure. That's why I left, to free you up to be with Leo. What more could you possibly want? Why are you crying? In Sarah's diary, Leo was a beacon of light during the darkest time of her life. He was the most vivid chapter in her story. She had completely forgotten what that period was really like. She forgot how hard I worked to help her get back on her feet. While she was off with Leo, having the happiest time of her life, I was the one who drained my life savings to cover her company's debts. I was the one going from office to office, begging for partnerships. I was the one drinking at business dinners night after night until I ended up in the hospital with a bleeding ulcer. She didn't remember any of it. She only remembered the electrifying thrill Leo gave her, an experience that haunted her dreams. She got that star tattoo over her heart, telling me it was to remember her past struggles and motivate herself. The truth is, the only thing she wanted to remember was Leo and his passion. Now she had what she wanted. She had found her one true love again. So why was she suddenly calling me? Daniel, you ran away to punish me, didn't you? You do have feelings for me. You love me so much that you couldn't handle being neglected. So you did this on purpose to hurt me. It's okay. I'll forgive you. Daniel, no matter what you do, I will always forgive you. I was speechless. For a moment, I had no idea how to even respond to that. When I was younger and more immature, I used to act out sometimes. I'd cry, get angry, even threaten to leave. But no matter what I did, Sarah would just watch me with cold indifference. She never comforted me, but she never scolded me either. She would just watch me suffer, like a bystander, waiting for me to be the one to apologize. I always just assumed that was her personality, but I was wrong. She understood everything perfectly. She grew up with me. She knew me inside and out. She was so sure that I loved her, that I would never leave her. She took my love for granted, and it made her reckless. She never imagined that I would leave so suddenly, so completely. For the first time, something was happening that was outside of her control. And she was scared. She was scared of losing me for good. Once I realized that the last lingering bit of affection I had for her vanished. Sarah, I'm grateful for the kindness you showed me when I was at my lowest point. And for that, I'm willing to forgive you for everything you've done to me. Leaving wasn't revenge. It was my choice. From this day forward, I feel neither love nor hate for you. I hope we can both move on and never see each other again. After saying that, I blocked Sarah's number. I looked up at my dad and smiled, but for some reason, the tears wouldn't stop falling. I couldn't tell if I was happy or sad. My dad patted my shoulder. It's all over now. Let's go get you a proper welcome dinner. We're going to start our new life together. My dad's idea of a welcome was unique. He spent a few days getting me completely settled in, and then he took me to the biggest nightclub in London. The music was deafening. The drinks were strong. Between the two, all the frustration and bitterness I'd been holding inside seemed to evaporate. Later in the night, my dad ran out of steam. He arranged for a couple of his security guys to look after me and headed home. I stayed out all night, finally stumbling out of the club at dawn with the security guards holding me up. Through my blurry vision, I thought I saw a familiar figure walking quickly toward me. The overlapping images focused, and I saw Sarah's face. Daniel, come home with me, she said. I'll handle our parents. I'll explain everything to our friends. No one will blame you. If you just come back with me, I'll forgive you for running away. I'll even forgive you for cheating. I'll take care of everything, and we can start over. I swear, I'll be so good to you. I'll never disappoint you or hurt you again. The pavement where she'd been standing was littered with cigarette butts. I had no idea when she'd found me or how long she'd been waiting there. I was just stunned by her audacity. Sarah, what on earth makes you think I need your forgiveness? Sarah took another drag from her cigarette, her eyes turning red. I saw you in there, dancing with that blonde girl in the bikini. If that's not cheating, what is? Daniel, I love you. That's why I'm willing to forgive you. If you lose me, you'll never find anyone better. I couldn't help but laugh. Have you forgotten? We already broke up. In Sarah's mind, it wasn't cheating when she kissed Leo after our engagement. It wasn't cheating when she was fantasizing about him while I was in the hospital for her sake. It wasn't cheating when she spent years turning me into his clone. But me, dancing in a club after we were over, that made me an unforgivable traitor. It was laughable. I didn't want to deal with her anymore. I tried to leave, but she ran after me, grabbing my arm. Daniel, we both made mistakes we didn't mean to. Why can't we just forgive each other and move on? We've known each other for 20 years. We were together for 10. Can you really just forget all that? She reached for my hand, but the two security guards stepped between us. Without looking back, I answered her calmly. Yes, I can. You met Leo and forgot everything about us in a second. I can do the same. Go home, Sarah. Be with Leo. Be with whoever you want. Just stop harassing me. I'm moving on with my life. Unlike you, you're always stuck looking back. Sarah refused to leave. She abandoned her company back in New York and, against everyone's advice, insisted on staying in London to be near me. Leo even flew over to try and get her back. He found me, furious. Daniel, you're clever. I'll give you that. Running away from the wedding was a great way to get her attention. But don't think you've won. I'll find a way to get her back. I just looked at him quietly. He had stolen my mother, my happy childhood, my friends, and the woman I loved. It didn't matter if he actually wanted any of it. If it was mine, he had to take it. I used to hate Leo and his father with every fiber of my being. But looking at him now, I just felt pity. Their world was completely devoid of love. All they had was an endless, pointless competition. They saw every other man as a rival and winning over some woman as the ultimate prize. They'd completely forgotten that there was a whole world out there beyond these toxic games. Do whatever you want, I said. In fact, the sooner you get her back to the States, the better. Then maybe I can finally have some peace. Leo stared at me, stunned for a second. Then he threw a few folded pieces of paper at me. They were the missing pages from Sarah's diary. What are you so smug about? She loves me. He went on to describe, in graphic detail, everything he and Sarah had done together back then. All the things I had dreamed of doing my entire life were just casual, everyday occurrences for them. The serious, reserved Sarah I knew was, with him, wild and uninhibited. I didn't bother to read the pages. This wasn't about some profound first love. It was just lust. The only person Sarah had ever truly loved was herself. I turned to leave and found Sarah standing right behind me. She looked exhausted and frail. She wasn't meticulously dressed like she used to be. Her hair was a mess, and her eyes were bloodshot. She was even wearing an old sweater I had bought for her years ago. She suddenly rushed past me and slapped Leo hard across the face. Shut up. Don't you dare try to turn Daniel against me. I've looked into everything. You never loved me. You seduced me on purpose just to hurt him. That time at the hostel, you weren't there on a work-study program. You had run off with some girl and then abandoned her because you couldn't handle being poor. You've been lying to me from the very beginning. You're the reason I lost Daniel. He's the best man in the world, the only one who ever truly loved me. Leo held his cheek, his face a mask of disbelief. Sarah then turned to me. Daniel, you knew all of this about him. Why didn't you tell me? Why did you just stand by and watch me be deceived? I was speechless for a moment. If I had told you, would you have listened? You would have just accused me of being jealous. Besides, you've known him your whole life. Are you telling me you really had no idea what kind of person he is? You wanted the thrill without any of the consequences. Sarah, you're a hypocrite, and you disgust me. Maybe my words were too harsh, because after that, Sarah finally left me alone for a long time. Leo was too ashamed to show his face again either. I started working at my father's company, slowly learning the ropes. I'd go out for dinner with colleagues after work, just hang out and talk. Life was calm and comfortable. Just as I was starting to feel like my life was finally on the right track, something happened. I was walking home late from the office one night when I realized someone was following me. It was a deserted street with flickering streetlights. I was afraid to call the police and startle them, so I just tried to stay calm and keep walking. As I passed a small park, they suddenly rushed out and grabbed me from behind. I was terrified, shaking uncontrollably. Don't hurt me, I stammered. You can have all my money. The person didn't say anything, just held on tighter, as if afraid I would run. Just then, a streetlight flickered on. In that brief flash of light, I saw the star tattoo on her chest. In disbelief, I whispered, Sarah. Her body went completely stiff. I shoved her away from me, and when I saw her face clearly, I slapped her as hard as I could. Sarah, what the hell were you trying to do? You're an animal. Her cheek flushed red from the impact. But she didn't look angry. She just gently took my hand and blew on my knuckles. Daniel, I would never hurt you. I couldn't bear to, she whispered. I just wanted to take you home. I pulled my hand away in disgust. I had always known she was stubborn, that she would never give up on something she wanted. But I never imagined she could be this obsessive, this unhinged. My legs felt weak, and I leaned against a wall, my body still shaking with fear. Sarah moved closer again. Daniel, see how dangerous it is out here? Just come back to me, okay? Men need to be protected too. I'll protect you. I'll cut off all contact with Leo. I never really loved him. I was just confused for a while. I didn't know if that was true or not. All I knew was that Sarah loved to cast herself in the role of the tragic, devoted lover, completely ignoring the feelings of the person she was supposedly devoted to. I clutched my pounding heart. Sarah, stay away from me. If you ever try something like this again, I will call the police. Once I calmed down, I texted my dad, briefly explained what happened, and asked him to come pick me up. My legs still felt like jelly. I couldn't take a single step. Sarah just stood there like a lost child who'd done something wrong, opening her mouth to speak several times, but then closing it again. I don't know how much time passed before my dad arrived. He brought the police with him. Sarah was arrested. She didn't resist at all, just kept her eyes fixed on me. Her gaze was filled with a deep, unspoken sorrow. My father was adamant about pressing charges. In the end, my mother and Sarah's entire family flew to London to intervene. First they pleaded, then they started yelling. They called me shameless for running away from the wedding. They called me cruel and heartless for trying to put the woman I once loved behind bars. Only then would Sarah, who had been silent the whole time, speak up. It's all my fault, she'd say. It has nothing to do with Daniel. I brought this on myself. I was greedy, and I didn't appreciate what I had. I regret it. I really, truly regret it. Daniel, I can't ask you to forgive me. I only ask that you don't forget me. My mother started to approach me, but she stopped and lowered her head when she saw the cold look in my father's eyes. She kept sneaking glances at my father. I guess she was feeling some regret of her own. Sometimes, you don't realize how precious something is until you've lost it. For some people, the things they can't have and the things they've lost forever are always the most desirable. In the end, after much negotiation, Sarah paid a hefty fine and was deported back to the US. As she was leaving, she asked me, "Will I ever see you again?" "Never," I said. She burst into tears right there, in front of everyone, sobbing uncontrollably. "How did it come to this?" she cried. "Daniel, you were with me for so long. So long that I just assumed you would never leave. So long that I thought you would forgive me for anything. I never imagined you would just disappear one day. I never imagined I could actually lose you forever. After you were gone, my whole world felt different. I didn't want to hurt you. I couldn't resist the temptation. I knew deep down I would never choose Leo, but I couldn't let go of that excitement he offered. So I tried to make you more like him. I thought I could have both of you that way. But I forgot. She forgot that there's only one Daniel Miller in this world. For better or for worse, I am unique. And I was not someone who could tolerate betrayal, let alone be someone's stand-in. My father and I started to walk away. Behind us, Sarah's voice continued. "I saw the wish list you wrote on your calendar," she cried out. "Why were we together for so long? But we never did any of those simple things. Other than that one blurry picture, I can't find a single photo of the two of us. We never went to an amusement park. We never even had a proper dinner together. We knew each other for 20 years, and were in love for 10. And now when I look back, it's all just one big regret. I was so stupid. I should have seen it all along. I let my desires cloud my judgment. When I came here, I thought that even if I couldn't bring you home, at least I could make up for some of our regrets. I never thought it would end like this. Daniel, can you ever forgive me?" Sarah's voice was filled with absolute anguish. But still, I did not turn back. My father tossed me the keys to his car. "You've really grown up," he said. "Starting tomorrow, you're officially taking over the company. I can finally retire in peace." I smiled back at him. "I won't let you down." I drove off in the new convertible, feeling the wind on my face. Her cries, along with my entire past, faded away behind me. The sun was setting, painting the sky in brilliant colors. I was driving toward a brand new day.